You're in the studio today with Anita, and I'm with two lovely ladies from an organisation called Shoosh No More. If you could introduce yourself and tell our listeners about yourself and what you do or what your organisation does.
Hi, my name's Christina. I'm one of the directors and founders of Shoosh No More. I'm here with my colleague and partner, Sarah, and we're here today just to talk a little bit about domestic abuse and how it affects everybody within our local communities.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I'm the other half of Shoosh No More, here to hopefully raise awareness and tell you all about how we can help.
You're here to talk about domestic abuse and how your organisation supports people, and also a bit about the dynamics of domestic abuse. Now, domestic abuse affects everybody. I mean, can you expand or comment on that, please?
Yeah, certainly. When we say domestic abuse affects everybody, we don't just mean that actually it affects women. We're looking at it affecting children, men. We're looking at it affecting and being present actually in same-sex relationships. And I think it's a little bit of a myth-busting exercise that we're doing today as well, with regards to ensuring and really kind of raising awareness that it's not just women who are affected by domestic abuse.
So men can also be victims of domestic abuse?
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes I suppose people forget that within a family, children are also a victim of domestic abuse, even if they observe it.
Very, very much so. And I think today as well, what we'd really like to do is to say that domestic abuse isn't just around having scratches, having punches, having bruises on you. Actually, those things tend to heal. It's the other things that happen that you end up kind of feeling very down about, that tend to scar you almost for longer.
And it affects everyone from all walks of... I mean, I know you've mentioned that. So it doesn't matter what religion you are, how much money you have. It affects everyone across the board, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's no barriers at all. It affects, like Christina said, everybody. And it's quite scary, I think, that everybody probably knows of somebody that it may be happening to. And, that's why we want to talk about it.
And we were talking about domestic abuse today, but I do know that sometimes people are in relationships, loving relationships, and sometimes they don't truly understand that there's a toxic element to their relationship, which could be considered to be abuse. And if you could possibly highlight the toxic warning signs of a relationship, as well as highlight the positive signs of a healthy relationship. So anyone listening, and they don't necessarily know what type of relationship they're in with regards to whether it's toxic or
loving.
So if you could do that, Christina.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to notify as well that each and every one of us as individuals likes to be loved in a certain way. So it's about knowing that about yourself as well as knowing that about your partner. So when we're looking at abusive relationships, as I said before, we're not just purely looking at the aspects of physical abuse. There are a great number of traits that kind of go with this. So, for example, it might be, a start-off point might be, well, actually, the bad parent. So this is a parent who believes that having children and having their own children is lovely, but actually they don't have to babysit for any reason. They don't have to look after their children. Doing that is a chore.
And of course we then, we've got the good parent where it would just automatically, unconditionally, be in their nature to want to be with their children and look after their children.
Yeah, and it's about that point having an equal balance within their relationship. So it's not that it's one parent's job to look after or not to look after the children. It's a combined effort. Another aspect of it is they've called it the king of the castle. But actually this is about somebody who just believes that their home is their castle, and that actually it's about them very much being in control of every aspect of their home life, so much so that they will ensure that when they come home, the other person is at home for them and with them at the same time. Maybe that the person doesn't leave the house all of the time either. Traits of this may well be where things or objects are hidden, like house keys, car keys.
Yep, and the other side of that obviously is partner. They would be your partner. The positive side of a relationship, but that they're understanding and equal. Certainly not king of the castle.
Another trait to look out for as well is the liar. So when something happens, there's always an excuse as to why this has happened, and it may be for an absolute number of reasons. It might be they may feel something to do with their own mental health. It might be drug misuse. It may well be alcohol misuse. But at the end of the day, realistically, what we're looking at and would really like to highlight is that there is no excuse for domestic abuse. And yeah, I think we all get angry and frustrated at times. I mean, I know I certainly do with my husband. I absolutely love him to bits, but it doesn't give me the excuse to ever be abusive towards him in any way.
And yes, on the back of that, of the liar, you should be truth teller. A partner that admits mistakes and says sorry, which some people really, really struggle to do.
Another tactic, again, we're looking here at the persuader. This is a person in the relationship who, once they realise they've upset you, will go, "Oh, I will never do it again. I'm so sorry," but actually really don't mean it. They will use tactics as well, such like, "Well, you can't afford to get rid of me, and if you do get rid of me, what's going to happen to the children?" Well, actually, that's something that when a relationship breaks down, you talk about and you conversate about anyway. It's not a reason to keep a relationship together.
Absolutely. As partners, you should negotiate. So the opposite to the persuader we see as the negotiator, where you have conversations, you agree on things together. It's not just one way, you are team.
The next aspect we'd probably like to have a bit of a look at really is the head worker. And this is a really, really hard aspect because we don't necessarily realise that it's happening until it's highlighted to us. The head worker is something as well. It's an aspect that encompasses all of the other traits as well. It's not a set alone trait at all in any way. You'll often feel that actually it really was your fault for whatever arguments that have happened and the abuse that's carried out. And also as well with the head worker, it will be things like hiding things, putting them in places where you absolutely know you would never have put anything. I mean, I know we all go through sort of phases where we go, "Oh, what did I walk out of the room for?" But there's a difference to that, and it's about whether or not your partner is highlighting that to you, whether there are certain things like car keys and house keys you put in a bowl, or there are certain things in the house like the plates and the cutlery and that you put in cupboards where you know you can reach them, and then all of a sudden it's moved to a cupboard and you think, but why would I put it up there? There's no good reason for me to do that. And this isn't just a one-off thing that happens. This is something that's happening with lots of different items on a continual basis. It is happening over months and months at a time.
Yes, the head worker is one that I would say is one of the cruelest. It actually, like Christine said, but it actually does make you think you're going mad. Whereas the right partner should be boosting your confidence, encouraging you, and saying that word yes, and certainly not, hiding things. And obviously, if you have lost them, helping you to find them, hide those keys. So.
And I'd just like to say, another part again about the head worker is that they will make you feel very down about yourself, about your image, what you're capable of doing. And they may well have even persuaded you to give up your job as well in an effort to keep you feeling low, but the way in which they'd have done this, they would have sold it to you in a very positive way. And again, this is not anything to necessarily help them out or to help you out, but it's just the way in which they've sold it to you enables them to maintain control. Another aspect that we're going to have a quick look at is the jailer. I think this is kind of quite self-explanatory. This is the abusive partner who doesn't really want you to go out the house, so they will do everything in their power to ensure that you don't. Again, this is hiding keys. This is being really quite unkind and cruel to your family and friends, to the point that you kind of think, oh well, actually I won't have them round, because if I have them round it's going to cause an argument, or I won't see my parents when they're here because they don't really like them. And actually that's really, really hard. Again, relationships of any kind are very difficult and are very, very challenging, but it doesn't mean that you can't see people that you like just because your partner doesn't like them. It's about having that respect and about having that balance within your relationship.
Christina, also the one that a lot of listeners may recognise as well is where you've maybe arranged to go out, you've got ready to go, and the partner causes a row, and it's all, it's their belief that if they know exactly what they're doing, and in the end, most of the time, you don't bother going.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And on the other side of the jailer is what is referred to as the liberator. You deserve to go out, encourages you to go out, says the word go, go. And certainly there aren't any bad feelings about, what you look like, where you're going. Trust.
Another aspect which I think you've probably felt has encompassed a lot of this as well is the bully. So this is where they are constantly, and this is the aspect that makes it abuse. So it's a constant feeling that you are in a relationship that is unhappy, you're treading on eggshells, you don't know what to do for the best. And this is often because actually they're changing tactics all the time, and it's a really, really hard thing to be living with, because you sit there and think, oh, well, if I do that, they won't react like this, but then they react in a slightly different way again, and that's really challenging and really difficult.
Yes, and the opposite to the bully is friend, and we can even relate to that as far back as in the playground. The friend should be kind to you, boost you, certainly not wear you down and cruel remarks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is one more aspect that we haven't covered yet, that's the sexual controller. And I know this is possibly kind of going to be probably the hardest one to talk about, but with the sexual controller, you're looking at somebody who doesn't respect the word no. Somebody who feels that they have the right to have sex when they want, with who they want, and in whatever way as well. And for some relationships that kind of works, but equally, if you as a person are uncomfortable with that, you should be able to say to your partner, I don't want to do that, and there shouldn't be a repercussion of it. If there is, you maybe need to sort of like be looking into that. Yes,
because you should be lovers. You should be you should have romance. It's shouldn't be expected. It should be natural. And intimacy, it's without question. That's certainly what you should be having. No way should there be any forcing. And like Christina said, the word no, it should be respected.
I found what you've said quite interesting with regards to toxic warning signs. I know in the past, many years ago, I had a friend of mine who had a boyfriend who was quite controlling, and one of the things that really concerned me about that particular relationship she was in, her self-esteem was really low, because he daily called her fat, ugly, and told her no one else would want her, so she should appreciate him and do whatever he wants, because she'll never find another man. And it was really hard helping that particular friend, because her self-esteem was low, and that relationship, as I said, was really, really controlling. But that, from what I've just heard, that would be considered to be the head worker and also the bully. It's actually really refreshing having a classification now. When you come across people and they tell you stories, I now actually can classify them technically based on their behaviour. So I found what you said very useful. Also, as well, when I was doing some reading up with regards to domestic abuse, what kind of stood out to me is that there are a lot of men out there who actually don't realise that they are in a abusive relationship. It might not be physical. And I can relate again to somebody I know who was in a loving relationship, but his wife was controlling because she financially controlled him. So his pay packet, she controlled. What he was allowed to spend on, she controlled. If he financially did anything without her permission, he feared the psychological repercussions of her actions. And now reading and kind of hearing about what you've told me, I understand it's not just a high-maintenance woman, that's actually a form of abuse. And a lot of men don't actually realise that that's what they're living in. So I found what you said really useful. Now, both of you have been trained on the Freedom Programme, which is a nationwide programme which is there to support people who go through domestic abuse.
Yeah, that's right.
If you could tell us a bit about the programme, also tell us about how your organisation manages the concept of the programme as well. That would be really useful.
Okay, thanks very much. Well, the Freedom Programme was initially founded by Pratt Craven, who has delivered a various number of the Freedom Programmes, and we're now having nationwide trainers being trained, which is absolutely fabulous. I suppose one of our main concerns is that a lot of people who come onto the Freedom Programmes initially are through referrals, and they may well already have additional services in place. But actually what we also know is that there are a great number of people out there who don't have other services currently in place, who actually may well be going through an abusive relationship anyway. A lot of the Freedom Programmes as well are facilitated by female facilitators, which again, for me, understanding where abuse takes place and how abuse takes place isn't always the best, because actually we don't have enough male facilitators to be able to facilitate male freedom programs, which is really quite challenging. But I would really, to be honest with you, I think if you are a man out there and you are feeling that you might be in an abusive relationship, if you could have a look at our website, it's www.shooshnomore.com, and it's SHOOSH nomore.com, and maybe contact us as well. We'd love to hear from you, because at the moment we're a little bit sceptical around putting on a freedom programme for men who have been abused, because we don't know how you'd react to sitting in a room and talking about how you're feeling, how it might have affected you, what your feelings are about the relationship that you're in, and particularly to women as well. I
suppose as a society we sometimes forget that men do experience domestic abuse, and I must admit I've noticed over the media that it's something that is talked about a lot more now, but it's not talked about enough, is it really? No, absolutely. We are also trying to put together a package as well for not young children, but young adults, to understand what a healthy relationship is, in particular going into kind of the academy schools and sixth forms and colleges, to be able to talk to young adults about this. So as part of what you offer, you also are educating all kinds of people in healthy relationships then, because I suppose if you understand what a healthy relationship is, you're less likely to act in a very toxic manner within a relationship. You're more likely to be respectful to your partner. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're hoping for. What it is that with any cycle of abuse, there is obviously a cycle to it, and it's about how to break that cycle, and putting up barriers and kind of saying, well, never have a man in your life or never have a woman in your life will be the way to stop the cycle isn't practical. It's not
healthy for anybody. It's more and more about saying, yeah, okay, we understand that there are these signs, we understand that there are certain traits as well, but actually it's about saying, if you are abusive in any way, can you recognise where it is your beliefs come from as to why you're abusive? Do you feel what you're thinking or feeling is correct? Do you think there's any way in which that can be challenged or changed at all? And for those of you who actually feel, no, I am in a very loving relationship, it's about saying, well, how can you teach your children? And if you don't have children, then certainly your nieces or nephews or cousins, how can you teach them to be respectful, not only about themselves, but also about their partners in future relationships, which will hopefully then prevent abusive relationships.
So, Christina, within your organisation, you also support perpetrators, and those are the people who actually, they're classified as the abuser. How do you do that?
Okay, well, it's quite a challenge, I have to say, but what it is at the moment is there is only a male perpetrator programme at the moment, which I think we need to relook at, as we're fully aware that there are female perpetrators out there as well of domestic abuse. But it's about coming together and talking and discussing their own beliefs and where it is their beliefs come from. And we use very powerful statements within the training that we do with this, I statements. So we're putting people who we believe are possibly abusers in a mind frame that they have been or could be abusive. The language that we use with them is quite different to those who have survived abuse. So yeah, we are running male perpetrator programs.
I mean, I do think that that's a really, really good idea, because at the end of the day, you have to break the cycle, don't you? I mean, people have relationships which are, they're toxic, they're negative, and hopefully the victim of that particular relationship is able to walk away and rebuild their lives. But if that abuser then starts another relationship, then the cycle is still continued. You might be able to support the victim, but the abuser still goes on to abuse. So if there's something in place to kind of help reduce that sounds really good, because there isn't much around, is there, with regards to men? And
no, there isn't. And again, this is really quite challenging. A lot of people will come in via referrals because they're already known to services within the communities. But actually, there are a lot of people out there who aren't known because they don't have children of a certain age or anything like that. And it's about targeting, and hopefully, it's not even targeting, it's about kind of hopefully making those people aware that we are out there. We do offer one-to-one support as well as group support. So please do have a look on our website. Our contact details are up there, as I said before. It's www.shooshnomore.com. And we'd be more than happy to hear from you.
One thing I've just realised, I haven't actually asked you, where did you get that name, Shoosh No More?
I'll start again. Shoosh No More is because it's very easy, and I myself have had it done to me, and that is shush no more. Shush. Don't talk, be quiet. But actually what we want to do is we want people to come forward, talk about abuse, ask for help confidentially. We'll speak to you.
So Shoosh No More comes from controlling people, abusive people, telling someone to shush in a controlling manner. So it's controlling them. That does sound like a really powerful name, actually.
Because it's the shush itself is the control inside, where the abuser or dominator is telling you to be quiet. But then we're using that on a positive note, and that is don't keep quiet. Talk, come forward, raise awareness, look out for family members, friends. Don't even have to maybe have the conversation together if it's awkward, but there is help out there. There's our website, there's our groups, and there's lots of other people doing a lot of hard work out there now to raise awareness.
it's been very interesting talking to you with regards to the traits of an abuser and also traits of a positive relationship. Now, I would your organisation is about supporting people through a particular hard time in their relationship rather than ending relationships. Is that correct? Can you comment on that?
Oh, absolutely, Anita. We are not about splitting up marriages, relationships, and we're certainly not, about complicating how we raise our children with their beliefs on, love and respect and healthy relationships. We want to help. We want relationships to be happy. We want families to be happy. The work that we do is, our passion is and our mission is to, help eradicate abuse.
That's really good because, as you said earlier, you help the perpetrators, or you support the perpetrators as well as the victims of abuse. So you actually are working with the family through this particularly toxic part of their relationship to help them actually turn their toxic relationship into purely a positive relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose really the next sort of part we probably want to talk about is what else it is that we do, because groups for everybody isn't always practical. People don't always want to sit in a group and talk to everybody about what they might feel are their issues. Does everybody want to air their dirty laundry in public type thing? So we're able to offer one-to-one consultations in the family home, in a mutual meeting place if that's better. We can do telephone support as well. Yeah, and realistically, we will kind of tailor any support that is needed. I think that's the great thing and the flexibility about Shoosh No More, is that we have a structure, but it's so flexible within that structure that it meets everybody's own individual needs, which is brilliant. So again, if there's anything here that you feel, I understand where they're coming from, or I'd like to know a little bit more information about that, then please, as I said before, do visit our website. Our contact mobile numbers are on there as well. And we just absolutely love to hear from you.
And can we encourage performers, young adults, teenagers? It's not just about older adult couples, just anybody that, is concerned or wants advice.
Lovely. Thanks very much. And if I can just say that website address again is www.shooshnomore.com.
Thanks very much, Christina and Sarah, for coming in to talk to us about Shoosh No More. It's been very interesting, and I've learned stuff. I'll be honest with you. Not only have I learned stuff in relation to the problems of an abusive relationship, some of these traits I can relate just in everyday life and everyday relationships with people friends, work colleagues, parents. Your parents, in-laws. It's not just about romantic relationships. It's abusive relationships that kind of can affect you every day, and you can come in contact with all types of people. So thanks for coming in to Interbeats, and thanks for taking time out to talk to me.
Thanks for having us.